Welcome to Phoenix Soul Life. My name is Melissa, aka Phoenix Soul Child. I'm here to break astrology down in a way that makes it easier for you to understand and show you how to use astrology to better understand the world around you so that you can better support yourself in the process of your day-to-day living and creating the personal transformations you desire for yourself. So today I want to talk about profection years. Now, here's a little context. I've been really noticing a lot of people around me have been going through it. And as I'm looking at charts and trying to support people and give them insight, I'm like, oh, dang, they're going through a 12th house year. And it was one of my intentions to make this video when I first started this channel, and I just forgot. So this is in energetic solidarity or support of my folks that's going through it because they're in a 12th house year. So when I say 12th house year in astrology, that's talking about a profection year. If you have looked at a natal chart, the round one, you see that it has 12 different slices. Like if it was pizza, there's 12 slices, right? So each slice or section represents a different area of life. And the 12th house just happens to represent an area of life that most people are not a fan of. It's our subconscious. It's the ways we self-sabotage. It can be our dream world. It can be addiction and mental illness. It could be the ways that we isolate or retreat. Now, retreat, a little holiday and vacation sounds cool, right? But when we completely isolate ourselves or we have a lack of awareness of the way we're showing up or some of our habits, then that can be kind of harmful to us. So during the 12th house year, that area of your life gets like this super tunnel vision focus, and how you're impacted by that year and the type of events that happen depend on quite a few things. One of them is how your natal chart is set up. If you have planets there, what planet rules the sign that is in your 12th house, what transits are going on that year, and all that gets a little bit more complex, and you really have to book an individual reading for stuff like that. But in general, if you're self-studying, then you can look at the sign in your 12th house and what planet rules it and where that planet is to see what themes are going to be pulled into focus during your 12th house year and how you might be impacted like that. So I'm not going to break down my chart for you, but I'm going to give you an example of my most recent 12th house year. And I'm going to tell you the years that are 12th house years. Age 11, 23, 35, 47, 59, and 71. So 35 for me. Whew, what a time. What a time. That was a very challenging year for me. I call it the year that I found out Santa Claus wasn't real. As one of my friends would say, I got some bout lessons that year. And what made it so hard for me was it was everything all at once. Like I was dealing with similar themes in 3 different situations with 3 different people. And because of how my chart is set up, the common themes between all 3 of these people were that they were in positions of power or leadership or influence with me. If we look at archetypes, they were the gurus, the coaches, the teachers, the leaders, the spiritual leaders, people that fit into that group. And again, because of the way my chart is set up, that means that the things that I was not aware of, or the way I self-sabotage, or just the ways I self-sabotage, or the parts of me I don't see in relation to those type of people, got me in trouble. So in hindsight, had I knew what I know now, what I would have needed to hear going into my 12th house year is, hey, Melissa, trust your intuition. Just because someone knows more about you on a certain topic does not make them your authority. Just because someone is in a position to lead you or help you doesn't mean that they have good intentions. And even if they have good intentions, it does not mean that they are emotionally sound enough to have that position in your life. Another thing I would have told myself is don't trust people based on other people's word. Experience them for yourself and give yourself enough time to make decisions based on your intuition and what feels right for you, as opposed to being rushed into decisions and going along with it because what they said it should be cool. Those would be lessons that I wouldn't have necessarily had to learn the hard way had I had that insight going in. Here's the thing though, not all of us escape tough lessons. Some of us learn better that way. And so it's like when your 12th house year comes and those things happen, you just do your best to get the lesson. I found myself in positions where my mental health definitely was impacted. I experienced depression, embarrassment, isolation. I was part of 2 different communities. One I wanted to leave, the other I was like ousted from. And there were just so many things that I had to go through on my own that I couldn't talk about, that other people didn't understand even when I did talk about. So I felt extremely lonely and there was just so much hurt. And it very much felt like an undoing of myself. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I had completely lost sight of who I was because of who other people told me I was and what I needed to be and what I wasn't. And it was terrible. Like, it was devastating. But then my birthday rolled around and I stepped into my first house year, and by then I was moving more into a space of healing and able to redefine who I was and what I meant to myself, taking better care of my health and my body, because when you go through stuff like that, it can wear and tear on your body too. So without going into like a whole lot of detail, that was in summary kind of with my 12th house year, the impact that the 12th house year had on me. There was a lot of lying and deception and things like that. But in hindsight, what I realized is I was looking at people with rose-colored glasses on, and I ignored my intuition, and I allowed other people to vouch for people and just let that be enough. So that was a lesson I had to learn. I'll never forget that lesson because of how rough my 12th house year was. So that doesn't mean that's exactly what your 12th house year would be like. That's what mine was like based on my chart. So the practical tip, the whole point of me making this video is to just give you awareness that when those ages roll around, it can be really tough. So what can you do? Well, one, and this is not me plugging myself because you can book with any astrologer you trust, but before that year comes, maybe book with an astrologer and say, hey, I've heard 12th house years can be rough. Looking at my chart, can you tell me maybe what themes to expect and what are some practical ways that I can manage and deal with that? Now, I can give general insight for anybody, but when it comes to specific tailor-made things, you'll need to understand your chart. So off top, what I would tell people is going into a 12th house year, make sure you have already developed a good regimen that supports your mental health. So whether that's your fitness routine, healthy eating habits, making sure you have accountability partners. So if you start to self-isolate and pull away, they'll pull up at your house saying, come on, let me see you, get on FaceTime, let me know you're okay. Whatever that means for you, go ahead and do that. And I mentioned age 11, of course, that is a child's age, right? So they may not be able to advocate for themselves that much. If you have an 11-year-old and you're noticed they're having big emotions or acting out, understand that they are probably dealing with internal thoughts and stuff coming up that they don't even know why it's coming up. I mean, they're still developing and coming into themselves, right? So just support them, give them some grace, ask them how they're feeling. If you think it would benefit them to have a therapist, do that. Don't belittle them if they're emotional and they don't understand why. we all go through these cycles of development, and like I said, after that 12th year you go into your first year. So you experience these tough things, you discover things about your subconscious feelings, hopefully, if you have enough awareness to catch it and hang on to it, and you can take that and move into more self-development. And then after that you move into your second house year, which is more about values and your resources and things like that. So hope you find this helpful. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. Later, I will double back. I hate to say what I'm going to do because then the thrill is gone and I forget to do it. But if y'all really want it and you ham me about it, I'll come back to it. But I really would like to also make a video about the 8th house perfection year, because that's another year that can be really tough. So I'm going to repeat the ages for you again. Age 11, 23, 35, 47, 59, and 71. Those are, in general, ages that life can be life and things can feel extremely tough and heavy. Yeah, so if you found this helpful, like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends to tell their friends about me, and book with me if you want to deep dive into your chart and better understand what's coming up for you, or what else. Check out my reviews if you want to know what people had to say about me. Thanks for being here, and I hope you have a great day or evening, whatever time it is that you watch this video.